there's what you're trying to communicate, and then there's what is heard. And that's always the case in any relationship, right? But especially in this work where we have such different experiences based on our positionality. For example, just around tension and conflict, when conflict surfaces around DEI, the tendency is for a lot of us as white folks to be like, oh, something's wrong. Whereas folks who are historically marginalized in those systems are often like, oh, thank God we're talking about it. Like, this has already been my reality, and like finally we're naming it. So it's a really different experience to come at the same situation from our different positions. And so I think it is important to look at, well, what's the kind of listening that men have when it comes to DEI? And oftentimes it's listening for like, you're the problem, you're toxic, that sort of stuff. Or like, you need to like give away your power or decenter yourself. Kind of a lot of narrative around like who you are and how you're showing up is not okay. And there's a lot of validity to that. There are a lot of things that, behaviors and things that we've been trained to do as men, and I'll say like as white men, that can be toxic, that can be really painful, it can be disconnected, that can be oppressive. But that's not who we are. That's just what we've learned to do with the enculturation that we've been given, right? Racism and sexism, homophobia, they move through us. They're not who we are. And for me, that was a really important distinction, because I was thinking of it with the bad actor, definition of like racism. You're a white supremacist, you're a KKK member, but it's like much more insidious than that. And so when I think about it as like, it's not about who's a bad actor and who's a good ally. It's about who is willing to recognize the way that these systems move through us and affect our behavior and our view of the world, and who's willing to say, I'm not good with that. Like, that's not going to fly here. I want to take a stand with other people to rebel and resist against that status quo, because it's not actually serving any of us. And so I think some of the pressures there, like that's a leap to take for a lot of people who, especially people holding a lot of privilege like myself, to even see that it's not just this zero-sum game of like us versus them, but it's actually we're all in this together and we all have a stake in this, and that there's a cost to each of us to be involved in systems of oppression, even though that cost is disproportionately held. It's dehumanizing for me, for example, but it's oppressive to other groups. And so how do we do the work together to change the way we listen to this conversation, not as an attack, not as an either or, us versus them binary, but as an invitation to community, to connection, to relationship, to actually having the things we say we most want in life. And that this can be a powerful bridge into that capacity within us.